Do you remember? Silke B, the lipedema patient. She has 3 operations behind her. She lets us share her pain, doubts, hopes and happiness. She would have had to stick to the conservative treatment of compression stockings for the rest of her life, even though it was no satisfactory solution. I don't know the feeling of not being in pain. I'm in pain even with my stockings on. And that was why she had one big wish, for them to be gone. We meet Silke again 6 months after her 3rd operation. A Silke who rides a bike, who likes wearing boots, and who feels totally relaxed when she meets up with her friends. What does it mean? Well, the stockings have gone. Just a few weeks after the last operation, she managed without them. The best moment looking back was when you notice that you haven't worn the stockings for a week, or that you've now reached day 13. The lymphatic drainage can now be dispensed with. It was always stressful for Silke to fit the regular appointments into her daily life. It's now 4 to 5 months ago. Somehow it no longer feels relevant. It's all in the past. The thing with the stockings is not in the past. Speechless, Silke shows us what her lot would have been sooner or later had it not been for the operations. These are the compression trousers which you've got to wear because of their strength. That is, if you can get into them. I've never been in a diver's suit, but this is how I imagine it to be. The difference is you can get into a diver's suit on your own, I believe. I wouldn't be able to get into these on my own. They are like a piece of armour. I don't think you would have any quality of life left. Fortunately, Silke is off the hook forever, thanks to the operations. Her doctor, Manuel Corneli, is quite calm about the fact that she's kept her stockings. He knows that this particular subject is a sensitive issue. That is why he doesn't insist, but seeks very gently to make the lipedema patient, who for maybe 15 years has been used to wearing the compressors, put aside the stockings once and for all. I just told this patient, who is also a bit unsure about this, that she doesn't have to throw them away, but just to put them in a drawer. If she feels that she wants to put them on again, she may, but it's no longer necessary. The final consultation with Dr. Corneli will now show how far the recovery has progressed. This patient no longer has any pain in her arms and legs. Now she can actually forget all about lipedema, and I'll be very much looking forward to hearing from her in a year or 2 how her life is progressing. Today she doesn't have lipedema anymore, and her state of health is normal. The photos from the day of the operation show how much Silke's body has changed in the meantime, and Silke thinks back about a year to what triggered her decision to go ahead with the operations. At that time, she saw for the first time another lipedema patient straight after an operation when she came for a routine consultation with Dr. Corneli and sat in the waiting room.
Neben mir saß eine Frau.
Next to me sat a woman wrapped in these bandages, and she got up when the doorbell rang. Her husband was there to fetch her, and she tottered past the reception. And then I thought to myself, it can't be that bad, the inconvenience, that is. I had a vision of tubes and all sorts of things, and not being at all able to manage my daily life. And this woman was, for me, so to speak, the turning point. And I said to myself, you can do that too. Today, Silke is happy to have had the operations, and she is also convinced that it was the right decision to be accompanied by a camera team. That it's important to share her story with others, because she knows that in order to get the right treatment, you first of all have to understand what your condition is. During her treatment, she got to know many other patients and found out that there are an awful lot of women who for a long time had no idea at all what they were suffering from. It's these women that Silke wants to reach with her videos.
Ich finde super, dass die Leute sehen, dass eine, ich sag jetzt mal normale, junge Durchschnittsfrau.
I think it's great that people can see that what I'd call a very normal, average young woman can have this problem, and that you obviously don't have to resign yourself to it, that there is a way out, so that this subject will be better known and understood. Also so that people know what their problem is.
Die hat damit gelebt, dass sie
I got to know a woman whose body blew up, so to speak, after the birth of her child, that is, became completely formless. And there was some kind of program on lipedema on the TV, and her neighbour grabbed a bottle of wine, came over and said, I know what your problem is now. Get some information about lipedema. And 4 weeks later, she had an appointment with Dr. Corneli. The advantages of the operative therapy are clear to the experts. The quality of life under the conservative therapy with lymphatic drainage 2 to 3 times a week, corresponding compresses and the like, is certainly reduced because she's got to follow this regime every day, every week, all year round, without a break. If she decides on an operation, it's true that for a couple of months she will have to follow an intensive form of treatment, but afterwards she'll enjoy complete freedom of life. Enjoying time spent with friends, wearing boots whenever she wants, to go cycling without her legs feeling heavy. That has now become Silke's daily life. Feeling no pain anymore has increased her quality of life considerably. And while the stockings are left behind in the drawer, Silke now discovers a world full of new possibilities.
Ja, das ist meine neueste Errungenschaft.
Yes, this is my latest acquisition. I've decided to take it up as a sport, and after my operation, I can now fit into it. I've tried it, and it feels quite comfortable. The question is whether I can keep up the speed on these roller skates. We'll see. I'll have a go. Starts this weekend.
Am Wochenende geht's dann los.
But that is another story.